Good evening, everyone. Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another very important live video update tonight. So it has already been a very, very big year, and can you believe we're only 2 weeks in? Now, the first lesson that I have learnt this year is, of course, to double check dates and remember what year I'm in. We got a number of very panicked emails from a couple of members a few weeks back urging us, of course, to pass on the information that I shared on last week's video about the digital ID bill. And given that I was basically still in holiday mode, I didn't check the dates properly before sharing that info with everyone. So as always, I'm the first to put my hand up if I make a mistake. And I do, of course, apologise to those who tried to do the right thing and put in those submissions only to find out, of course, that legislation had already passed. Now, as a quick point of clarification, some people have emailed saying that they have received responses from the government claiming that bill somehow received royal assent last year. So the obvious question is this: which monarch supposedly provided that royal assent? Given, of course, that Queen Elizabeth II passed away in 2022, and of course there is no Royal Styles and Titles Act to create the title of the King of Australia for King Charles to adopt for use within Australia and its territories. Now, this is obviously a major issue that we've covered many times before. So I urge anyone who has received a response or a claim along those lines from the government to just write back that very simple question and just see what they have to say for themselves. Now, whilst I definitely did make an error with regards to the dates for those submissions and of course that bill, what is definitely not a mistake is the latest steps that the government is in fact trying to take and push ahead with their digital ID agenda. So I'm going to go through a couple of things about what's changed just since last month, right the way through to what's in store all the way through to 2026. So this is straight off the government website. You can see here what's changing from 1st of December. This is under digital ID system.gov.au. If anybody wants to go and look that up for themselves, you should find a link in the comments. And it says, for services and providers, digital ID service providers will be able to apply to the digital ID regulator to become accredited. Accreditation is voluntary. Accredited providers will be able to display a digital ID accreditation trust mark to show they meet the high standards of accreditation. I wonder what those high standards might be. From the 1st of December 2024, so again, that's only a month and a half ago, state and territory government services will be able to apply to join the Australian government digital ID system as a relying service. Commonwealth services can also apply to join. By December 2026, private sector entities will be able to apply to the digital ID regulator to participate within the Australian government digital ID system. Private sector digital ID providers can apply to the digital ID regulator to become accredited. So they are going to be pushing all private corporations to adopt this digital ID. This is happening now. Okay, they've also got the 2 new regulators, which is the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, along with the Australian Information Commissioner being in charge of supposedly the privacy. If you think that they are going to fully protect your personal private details, then I wish you all the very best of luck. For everybody else, please be aware that is what they're doing, and they are already progressing with that right now. So whilst the legislation has indeed passed, people power can still definitely achieve great results. Again, we saw that with the defeat of the Voice referendum, the withdrawal of the misinformation and disinformation bill last year. So again, if we do collectively write to our members of parliament and express our will that we do not consent to the application or the implementation of that digital ID legislation, and explain to them that we will be voting with our voices at the upcoming federal election if they don't take note of what we have to say, then there is every chance that we can have that either overturned or abandoned or not actually implemented. And that, of course, is the key that we want to see. Now, there is, speaking of submissions, there's actually a very important submission that we are urging everyone to make on another important topic. And again, this is the correct date, and it is a very timely reminder, and that is in relation to the proposed amendments to the international health regulations. So I urge you to go and check out this website. Again, you should find a link going up in the comments. If you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching it on YouTube down the track, just look this up. 2024 Amendments to the International Health Regulations 2005, Feedback to Joint Standing Committee on Treaties. This is what it says. We have a number of concerns about what the WHO is proposing under the 2024 amendments to the International Health Regulations 2005. The most concerning can be summarised into 5 topics. Number 1, choice. The right to make a choice for you and your family. Seems pretty obvious and basic. Number 2, censorship. The right to be able to speak freely and receive information. 3, surveillance in the form of tracking and tracing. Number 4, control. Countries will have to implement the changes into their domestic legislation. And 5, cost, both financial and social. The Joint Standing Committee on Treaties, JSCT, is an Australian government committee that has asked for feedback on the 2024 IHRS. It says we encourage you to give your feedback, which closes on the 23rd of January 2025. It's definitely the right year. Okay, so we've basically only got 1 week. Now, this is really, really, really important. Now, if you follow that, there's a PDF that you can download. There's all sorts of information, and what they've done, which is really handy, they've given you the people that you can write to. They've given you an email address that you can click on, and also what they've done is actually given you a sample template response. We always get, are there any sample submissions? Are there any template submissions that we can use? So yes, all of that is provided on that actual page. So again, if you're watching this on Facebook, you will find a link in the comment section. Otherwise, please just look that up. And I urge everyone to please get onto that, because this is so important. We saw what they got away with during COVID. We know what they're already planning. Speaking of what they're planning, I actually mentioned on the last video update I did the insane lengths that the media are going to already this year to try and keep people living in fear with some potential new pandemic. Now, I read out a number of headlines. I actually went to the trouble to dissect one of the articles. And it's just nuts what they're, the fear-mongering that they're doing at the moment. But can you believe, just since last week, I'm going to show you the number of insane headlines that have come across my desk in just that time. Now, remember, this is just in the week, okay, since I last did that video. So, this one. How to tell if your bad cold or flu is HPMV, experts reveal telltale signs. That's one. Here's another one. US states where HPMV is surging as patients experience horrific symptoms. I mean, they just love these emotive words. Sorry, all my pages are stuck together for some reason tonight. Oh, this one. I mean, have a look at this. This is nuts. This is nuts, people. A new vaccine is already being developed by the same scientists that developed the Oxford AstraZeneca jab for COVID. Fears super powerful Black Death strain could hit Australia. Again, another one with this, horrific symptoms. Patients who've had virus ravaging China describe horrific symptoms. Yes, good old Mpox is rearing its head again. I mean, they are just throwing everything out there. After HPMV, new Mpox strain detected. Symptoms, risks, and prevention explained. Oh, this one. Have a look at this one. Something brand new, completely out of the box. Bleeding eye virus sparks travel warning and worldwide concern. What is the incurable disease? Oh, good old mask mandates. Here we go again. Mask mandates return as doctors warn of dangerous quaddemic. 4 pandemics at once they're pushing for. I mean, this is nuts what they're doing. And then there was this one to finish off. Now, remember, these have all come across my desk in the last week. 5 Kolkata labs detected 30-odd HPMV cases in November to December 2024. But here's the kicker. All patients recovered. So why are they reporting on it? Who cares if everybody's recovered? What's the point? What's the issue? Why are we, it's just clear, obvious, blatant fear-mongering, okay? But, I mean, I'm not going to bother, obviously, reading out any of those articles or covering any of that rubbish, but just know that they are absolutely hell-bent on doing something this year. Who knows what it's ultimately going to be, but there's clearly something that they're pushing for. So we need to ensure that everybody puts in a submission against those proposed changes to the international health regulations, because we certainly do not want to see any type of restrictions, masks, lockdowns, any of that brought back ever again. And of course, the best way to ensure that doesn't happen is to make sure that those amendments are not passed. So please do make sure you put your submissions in. Now, speaking of various government agendas, of course, the other agenda that they are pushing for again very, very strongly this year is, of course, this cashless society. Now, obviously, I spoke towards the end of last year about that, and in particular, I mentioned the backlash and the uproar that resulted after the CBA, the Commonwealth Bank, threatened to implement a new fee for cash transactions inside branches. Now, thankfully, the CBA listened to their customers. They chose not to implement that fee for now. They've put it on hold. They haven't abandoned it completely, but they've put it on hold. But instead, the Bendigo Bank have completely ignored that warning, and they've chosen to implement a similar fee themselves. So if you or anyone you know banks with Bendigo, I urge you, please make sure you look up this article. Bendigo Bank introduces $2.50 fee to withdraw your own money. Bendigo Bank has quietly introduced a fee for customers wanting to withdraw cash from branches. The country's 6th biggest bank brought in the change in November and has been charging $2.50 over-the-counter withdrawals. The bank is justifying the staff assisted services fee as necessary for meeting the needs of our customers. Really? What about what the customers just did last year and the year before, just walked in and got cash out as always? I mean, what's this new need that they have to charge a fee for? It comes after the Commonwealth Bank sparked a nationwide uproar for introducing a similar $3 fee late last year, a change the bank later announced it would pause. Bendigo Bank introduced some changes to its fees and charges in order to meet the evolving needs of our customers and deliver on our vision to be Australia's bank of choice, a spokesman said. Well, I can tell you those two concepts don't go together in the same sentence. You can't be the bank of choice and be delivering a vision if you're going to start charging people to take their own cash out over the counter. That is insane. In recognising that some customers may incur an increase in fees, our team members are standing by to help with alternative options, and we encourage those customers to speak with us. How about you just scrap the fee and go back to the way things were? Pretty simple. 2GB host Mark Levy slammed the move and questioned how Bendigo Bank had not learned from the Commonwealth Bank. We all kicked up a stink about Commonwealth Bank last year. The fact that they were charging you $2.50 to access your money, well, there you go. Bendigo Bank is doing the same thing, he said. It's all well and good for them to spin it and say, oh, well, we've reduced our monthly service fee. There's going to be a net decrease in what our customers are paying, but you're still charging people $2.50 per transaction to walk into a Bendigo Bank and get your own money out. How is that fair? Out of all the businesses in Australia to cry poor, it can't be the banks. And how true is that? So please, if you or anyone you know is currently with Bendigo Bank, then I would urge you to start by at least just writing a letter to them, to the branch manager, to the CEO of the bank, letting them know what you think of this new charge. And of course, if they don't agree to withdraw it, then as always, just speak with your feet and move to another bank that doesn't actually charge you to access your own cash. All right, now the other topic that we spoke a lot about, especially towards the end of last year, was the various state governments' incessant push to raise as much revenue as possible, mostly through the implementation of more traffic cameras. Well, things finally seem to be backfiring on them as more and more people are getting fed up with these cameras, and of course their flawed and faulty photos, and they're now starting to seriously challenge them. So here's an interesting article that I urge everybody to read, no matter what state you're in, because of course the same principle applies everywhere. And this one's entitled "Infuriated Drivers Fight Ambiguous $556 Fines, No Visible Phone." The 5 cameras located around Adelaide snapped photos of more than 28,000 road users allegedly using their phones while behind the wheel from October to December, Adelaide Now reports. But not everything is as it seems. Numerous frustrated locals say, with some promising to battle the $556 fine in court, excellent, shining a spotlight on the technology that has also left residents of New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland questioning how effective the cameras actually are. Motorist Ben Digance claims he is one of the unfortunate road users who's been wrongfully targeted. He told 7 News there is no visible phone in his hand in the image taken, and he has called for more review and scrutiny. 6 months ago, a New South Wales lawyer who was fined $387 and lost 10 demerit points for allegedly touching her phone was awarded $4,000 in court after it was revealed she was actually holding a loaf of banana bread. And then it says more mobile detection cameras to come despite complaints. South Australia's first mobile phone detection cameras were rolled out last year as part of a $16 million plan to reduce fatalities on roads caused by driver distraction. Now, keep that in mind because I'm going to circle back to that in a moment. More are reportedly expected to be placed around the city in the coming months. Okay, so they're saying that this is to reduce the toll, it's all for road safety, and all the rest of it. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because I did a little bit of research before preparing my notes for tonight's video, and here's what I found. In 2022, the South Australian road toll was just 71. But last year, after the introduction of all of these new cameras, it shot up to 91. 91 deaths, so that's an extra 20 deaths or an increase of almost 30%. 30% increase in the road toll, yet they're saying that no, these are all being rolled out, okay, for road safety and to save lives. I mean, those cameras are doing a bang-up job of saving lives, aren't they? And they just keep rolling out more. I mean, I've said a million times before on these videos, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again, but expecting a different result. Now, it's not just South Australia, okay? There's a similar story in Victoria. The road toll was 241 in 2022, and that jumped up to 284 last year. Again, that's an increase of 43 deaths. Increase, okay, or almost 20%. New South Wales, same time, road toll was 288 in 2022 and 340 in 2024. Now that is a significant increase of 52 extra deaths on our roads, or an almost 20% increase. Again, similar story in Queensland. The road toll in 2023 was 232, and then last year it jumped up to 241. Exactly the same story in WA. The road toll went from 159 in 2023 up to 186 last year. Again, an increase of 27 more deaths, or 17%. Okay, so you can go to pretty much any state you like, and they've introduced more new cameras, and yet the road toll continues to increase. Okay, this makes no sense other than when you understand it's all about raising revenue. So please, if you want to help stop this insanity, then you need to stop encouraging this practice of rolling out more and more cameras. And the way to do that is by properly challenging these insane, completely pointless fines. And of course, the best way to do that is through that tried, tested, and proven 3-step process from Chapter 3 of that Aussie Speeding Fines book. So please, if you do not yet have that book, if you know someone that does not yet have that book, please urge them to get it. There's a link in the description of this video. There's a link in the comment section. Grab it and let's put an end to this madness once and for all. As I said, almost every single state, the road toll continues to increase, and in most of them, it is increasing significantly. And people keep just throwing good money after bad at this insane system that doesn't work. The only way these governments are going to stop rolling out more cameras is when people stop paying their fines. And I've said before, you can't just ignore them, you can't just throw them in the bin. You've got to properly challenge them. Okay, and I'll go through another testimonial from one of the Aussie Speeding Fines members a little later tonight that again proves that three-step process absolutely does work. You just have to follow those steps. And now, before I get to that though, the final article that I want to cover on tonight's video is the COVID bombshell that Mark Zuckerberg dropped just recently regarding Joe Biden and the US administration. So this is another very interesting article that I urge people to go and have a look at. And it says, Mark Zuckerberg drops Joe Biden COVID bombshell on Joe Rogan. Mark Zuckerberg has revealed US President Joe Biden's camp would ring his company and curse and scream during the pandemic. Meta boss Mark Zuckerberg slammed the Biden administration for censorship, took shots at one of his biggest tech rivals, and said he's optimistic about President-elect Donald Trump during a wide-ranging interview with popular podcaster Joe Rogan. Wearing a brown t-shirt and gold chain, the suddenly conservative-sounding tech tycoon spent the first hour of the nearly 3-hour sit-down discussing the strong-arm tactics Team Biden used to silence those who cast doubt on the COVID vaccine, a topic dear to Rogan's heart. Biden officials phoned executives at Meta to scream and curse at them while demanding that they remove any negative posts about the coronavirus vaccine on Facebook, said Zuckerberg, rehashing the admission he made in front of Congress over the summer. It was brutal, Zuckerberg said during the interview on the Joe Rogan Experience released Friday. The US government should be defending its companies, not be at the tip of the spear attacking its companies. Now, here's an interesting line that finishes off. Zuckerberg said Biden's aides wanted Meta to remove posts that correctly stated that the vaccines could induce side effects. Okay? So I think, the fact that the mainstream media are now actually printing lines like that last one I read out is certainly very interesting and certainly very positive. And let's hope that Zuckerberg and Facebook and Meta and all those things, do follow through with this reduction in censorships and ultimately the elimination of these so-called fact checkers. Now, unfortunately, as I did mention on the last video update, the removal of the fact checkers currently only applies to the US, but hopefully over time it will extend here to Australia as well, especially if the media are going to continue with all of this HPMV fear-mongering that I mentioned just before. All right, so finally, as I always do, I'm going to finish off tonight's video with the latest testimonial from one of the Aussie Speeding Fines members, and of course some more great memes to get people thinking. So this one was sent through from a letter, as you can see here. It says, "Hi there, just wanted to let you know that my son received an email from Revenue New South Wales today that they had dropped his fine. I'm kind of shocked. I was prepared for a fight. All we did was send an inquiry asking for a clearer photo that we weren't sure who was driving because people were test driving it that weekend and attached the sale receipt. We happened to sell the car privately 3 days after his fine, so it was kind of convenient. I didn't even ask them to review it. Email below. Thank you so much for your help. Your booklet was $100 and the fine was over $400, plus my son would have been suspended for 3 months, he's on red Ps, and unable to get to work, 40 minutes drive each way, not to mention the insurance hit, so it was well worth the money. And then the email response from Revenue New South Wales. We refer to your request for review of fine, blah, 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 for driver use mobile phone when not permitted, camera detected. Here again, we have one of these camera-related fines that I just spoke about before. Outcome of our review, we considered the circumstances presented. We also consulted the caution review guidelines, legislation, and information provided by the issuing authority. Due to the circumstances, we've decided to cancel the fine. You're not required to pay the fine. So there it is in black and white that the fine has been withdrawn. So these camera-related fines, honestly, they are some of the simplest fines to beat. There are so many issues, there are so many faults, there are so many flaws that they are very, very straightforward to beat. You just got to follow that three-step process in Chapter 3 of that Aussie Speeding Fines book. So again, please make sure you grab that if you don't already have it. All right, and some memes to finish off. Yes, this is, they're talking, of course, all about the hospitalisations and the flu numbers and all the rest of it. And as it says there, weird to see the hospitals full of winter flu sufferers this year, especially since it damn near disappeared during the COVID-19 pandemic. Isn't that convenient? Yes, I like this one. This is how you can properly vaccinate your family against the upcoming bird flu. That's the way to get the proper vaccination done. Get rid of the mainstream media garbage from your lives. Yes, back to the good old cows farting that we talked about last year. I mean, absolutely insane. Here we have the cows gathering up and protesting, and I like this bit here. I think that's quite good. So, yeah, look, let's give them some free rein. And this one, of course, I said they're still talking about this alien card, but look, who knows what they're going to do. But I thought this one was quite good, of course, along the same lines. They cut down all the trees, then blame the cows for farting. And the aliens are all sitting there having a good old laugh. And that is, the whole world has essentially just become a joke. And it's just getting worse and worse. And already, as I've covered on the last few videos, you know, the insanity that the mainstream media are pushing, the agendas that the government are pushing, you know, this is the year that we all need to stand up. Okay, we need to learn about our rights. We need to push back. And we need to put an end to this insanity once and for all. So I am going to leave things there for tonight. As always, I do urge you to make use of all of the various resources that are available to you to please get informed, get fired up, and get proactive. These videos, of course, are completely free to watch. You find them on our BitChute channel, our YouTube channel, and the videos tab on our Facebook page. Don't forget our radio shows. We are back next Tuesday, the 21st of January. It is going to be our first live radio show for the year. It's going to be huge. We've got a number of really important articles to cover. We've got a bunch of emails that people have sent us over the Christmas New Year period that we're going to be answering for everyone. So it's going to be a huge, huge show. Again, if you just go to the website, click on the radio show tab, you'll find a big black listen live button. Just click on that between 8 and 10 p.m. It's Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time next Tuesday, and you'll be able to tune in for that show. Of course, if you've missed that show or if you missed any of our other shows you want to listen to that, it costs less than $5 a week to become a podcast member. You can listen to all the podcasts with all the music edited out. You get access to all the show notes for each show, all of the transcripts for our last few years worth of shows as well. So plenty of information, and it's affordable for everybody. Now, of course, if you want to go above and beyond that, we do, of course, recommend our book, The Essential Step-by-Step Manual for Understanding and Exercising Your Rights. I've spoken, of course, before about that Aussie Speeding Fines book, and we do know a lot of people are struggling financially at the moment, so please stop throwing good money after bad at these unsecured loans. That's your credit cards, your personal loans. They can be very, very easily discharged, just written off with that tried, tested, and proven four-step process from their book. So again, you can get these all individually. There's links in the description. Of course, you can get them all together as part of the combo pack. We do include that tote bag, which I can't seem to find tonight, as a little extra bonus for the combo pack. Don't forget, we've got some nice warm weather coming up, so do be sure to grab your Know Your Rights caps. People see the logo, they come up, have a chat. It's a great way to meet like-minded people. And of course, most importantly, our home study course. This is a complete recording of one of our 2.5 day standard live events. There's 3 custom-made workbooks where you can put down any notes that you have next to every slide from every single presentation. There's 17 DVDs in there, plus a CD with all the documents that we use ourselves to not only learn about our rights, but to stand up for our rights and exercise our rights, especially when dealing with the so-called authorities. So it is a fantastic resource that you'll come back to again and again and again over the years. So do be sure to grab that. Now, as I've mentioned on previous videos, we do have a couple of boot camps and 2 live events that we are just trying to finalise, and we do hope to have the dates ready to announce on our first radio show next Tuesday. We're also going to be announcing the dates for our webinars, which are going to be a full-day webinar where we cover just 1 or 2 topics, so very, very detailed, lots of extra time for questions. So keep an eye on our social media platforms, keep an eye on your emails for those notifications, and do be sure to lock those in as soon as they are announced. So I'm going to leave things there. Of course, we'll be back next Thursday night with the next video update. Don't forget, big live radio show on Tuesday night. Other than that, have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Take care.